Good evening, Internet. It's me, DP Knudten, and another edition of BOOKWARD BOUND, 301 days from I should really do this to done. And what is that done? That done is actually getting a new book done by January 1st, 2021. And that's the goal here. And I started this trek on March 5th of 2020. And that was 102 days ago, believe it or not. And this is the 102nd episode of BOOKWARD BOUND, in which I actually work on the book, moving it forward, sometimes writing, sometimes designing, sometimes working on concepts or outlining the book, etc., etc. Whatever I'm doing, I'm progressing the book forward in one way or another. And that's what I'm going to do tonight as well. And I'll be honest with you, earlier today I was working on the book a little bit, and I made some changes, I did some writing, I did some blah, 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 but then I started this final section as, or it's not really the last thing in the book, but it's kind of the final major chapter, if you will. You know, there's an outroduction, if you want to call it that follows after it, but for the most part, this is right before my thank you page, my acknowledgments page, and then the book is over. I mean, and then author's bio is on the last page. So literally, this is more or less the back end, tail end of the book. And it's a new section, and I'm calling it My Favorite Follows. In fact, it looks a little something like this. So here it is in Scrivener, the application that I'm using to actually write this book. And so this section, as I said, is called My Favorite Follows. And it's all about a bunch of the people that I may not be writing about in the book, but I want to provide book readers with as people they should consider following or checking out online via their social feeds, et cetera, et cetera. So I started adding in some stuff, and right now there's no specific order or anything like that. I'm going to say Marketing Rebellion book. And what's the name of his... Sorry, I'm going to hop over here. I always forget the name of his blog. So, Grow. And he uses curly brackets. Businesses grow. So he uses curly brackets, grow. And I'll have to italicize that because that's actually a title. That's not right. I'll pay no attention to that. Grow Marketing, Mark Schaefer, Businesses Grow. Is your social podcast. So who else do I want people to pay attention to that I always pay attention to? Anyway, I created this section because as I write, here's what happens when I write a book. My brain starts going, and it starts going down this rabbit hole, this ferret warren, I don't know what you'd call a ferret town, I guess, of all these weird places, and I'll be in the midst of writing something and go, oh, I should tell everyone definitely to follow so-and-so, or somebody else. And so I created this section just as kind of a catch-all bucket for all of those people. But I also have right here one of the worksheets that I use in my workshops. And it's got some names in here that, oh yeah, I definitely want to include Pat Flynn. Smart Passive Income Podcast. Whoop. George B. Thomas, Mahoney, Landino. Yeah, so I'm going to add to this list of people and the stuff that you should check out, just as an extra for the book, which, you know, some books are all theoretical and crap. I always want to give people something they can actually use. So if all you get out of this is a list of people that you should follow, maybe that's good enough for the book. So I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to give it a little bit of leading between lines, and we'll leave it at that. In the meantime, I'm also over here in what I'll call the outliney section of the book. And I started thinking about some of the people I want to talk about and contacts. So this dude right here, Rhett Shull, is a guitar-oriented YouTuber who turns out fantastic videos and is such a wonderful teacher, sharer, thought leader when it comes to guitar playing. Not only guitar, but being a musician, being a working musician. His series of Backstage Journal, he's got a call it a YouTube show called Backstage Journal, where when he's on the road, he'll actually be recording what he's doing, with whom. You know, half the time he's riding in a van from, I think he's down in Atlanta, Georgia, but he'll be riding all the way to Indiana, packed in this van with a bunch of equipment and a bunch of other players, and getting ready to be a professional musician at a regular level, not at a superstar level, not at a rock star level, not at a world touring band level, although he does go international every once in a while. But Rhett Shull is one of the people I want to interview for the book, and so I sent him an email today, and let's hope he responds, fingers crossed, saying that I want to have him on my podcast, the Nonfiction Brand podcast, and through that conversation, get the meat of his story so that I can write about it and include it in this book, because his story would be a great addition for anyone who is kind of questioning what a personal brand can do for you. Because, you know, he's a guitar player, a professional guitar player, but he's a guitar player, which means you're a commodity. You know, the number of named guitar players, like if you stopped someone in the street and said, name 5 guitar players, most people would have a really hard time doing that. Well, guess what? There are a ton of guitar players, including a bunch who buy stuff, play it in their basement, and no one ever hears them. But there's also professional guitar players like Rhett Shull. So I want to get Rhett in this book via the podcast. So let's hope he responds to that. And then I've got another bunch of people in this section called What's Your Flagship? This is really about people who've selected a specific social media channel to be their number one. That doesn't mean they don't do others, but they have one clear number one channel that they use to really pump out their information and their thought leadership and all that stuff in a big way. And so I'm going to be writing about all these different people. And the ones I can write write about right now are Alex and Todd Austin. Now, these guys are friends of mine from Sydney, Australia. And this is actually kind of a fun story, so I think I'm going to write it. So I think I'm going to call this Aussies Are Awesome. Aussies are awesome, and this will be, make sure these are, oops, 2, all right. Anyone who listens to my nonfiction brand podcast knows that I tend to mention the one go to every year quite a bit. It's called social media marketing world, and it goes on, occurs every late February, late March. It occurs yearly in late February or early March in San Diego, California. My first year was 2018. My first year was 20. So fabulous. It's become important things due to level up my work, my professionalism, and of course my personal brand. But let me tell you kind of that year that first year, and let me tell you, I was as year summer camper and as excited to Having done a fair amount of research about the conference in advance, I knew that one of the most important events, one of its most important events and the night before it actually started, formal, let's all meet up at the hotel bar mixer not wanting to miss out on anything. I showed up on time. Didn't know anyone in the bar, and more or less stood silently at the corner of the bar, checking my watch and preparing to make a hasty exit. And then a guy walked up and ordered a drink from the bartender with a distinctly not from around here accent. That's how I met Todd Austin of the Sydney, Australia, Austins. Pro tip. If you're ever at any kind of event with the potential for international attendees, keep your ears open for Australian accents. accents, because people have them, are the warmest, funnest, kindest people around. And once you know one of them, you're going to meet and know them all. After asking Todd where he was from, because his accented, because of his accent, I got to learn all about his company. Fletch Digital. All about the company. His company, Fletch Digital. The company Fletch Digital. Got to learn all about the company Fletch Digital that he runs with his wife, Alex. They are two of the coolest people I've ever met. And they are two of the coolest people I've ever met. And they are two of the coolest people I ever met. And reconnecting with at every social media marketing world. And I look forward to reconnecting with it every social media marketing world. That could just have a conversation. Why? Instagram. Alex and Todd over social media. It's their job. It's foundation of their business's offerings. But because it's their number 2 source of leads. Lead to word mouth recommendation. Rather than maintain an active presence on most social platforms. But rather than dilute their efforts by doing too much in too many places, their primary effort is directed to Facebook's kinder and more sibling Instagram. Out there, let's go. Instagram, be social now. Let's give yay. Bea, Fletch. There you go. Fletch Digital. Idea of Actually, they do it. I'm gonna have to screenshot a bunch of these. Oh, I am so bad. Oh, I might have to. Oh, that's a good shot. I'm gonna have to grab that for sure. I'm gonna have to grab that too. All right, so I can grab that. All right, Graham. Instagram is the stage on which their personal small is which their small business and personal brands are demonstrated on a regular basis. Actually, I could grab these right now, so I think I might.
Good morning from San Francisco. Behind me is California doing what it does best. We're very excited.
And that's River, their brand new baby boy. I like that shot. So how are we going to do this? Oops.
Good morning from San Francisco. Well,
just add accelerate.
good morning. So I know it's very early in the morning back home. It's nearly 10 o'clock here, and I am about to go into Mel Diesel. I think that's how you say
Keep
her
going,
last
keep
name.
going.
I'm about to go into his session.
Keep
But
going.
I'm just keen to know if there's any questions that people have about social media marketing.
There we go. There's that goofy shot. Oops. No, that didn't work. This is going to be one of those trial by error things. I want to get a mid-air. No, that didn't work either. Yeah, that worked close enough. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not, but at least I've got them. Well, that's a good 2-shot. No, I don't want their names on it. All right. If I do it right there, no, that didn't work either. That's good. All right. So I can go through and I can grab a bunch of their pictures, plug them in here, and just make the point that Instagram is where Alex and Todd do the majority of their social media activity, and it really is building their personal brand visually. In fact, I got to make sure to get the picture, the infamous picture of the jump. Yeah, this one. Which one's better? Oh, the one, probably not the one where she's slapping him in the face. Yeah, so I have these in there. Cool. And that's enough for tonight. Yeah, sorry. That is enough for tonight. So that picture is now in here. The cool thing about Scrivener is you can do this as a linked file or as an embedded file. I've got it set for embedded, which makes it a lot easier. All my stuff is in there. It makes for a huge file overall, an entire book with all its photos, but it's all in one place. I know where it is, and I know I have it. So that's cool. And I think that's all I'm going to do for tonight because I've got this section started, which is good, 441 words. Feeling good about that. Got a couple pictures in there. I might do them as screenshots from my phone, but I'll figure that out later. Don't need to bore you with it because, frankly, it's kind of boring. And it's after 10. It's time for me to go nighty-night. Yeah, because I need my beauty sleep. I mean, all this does not happen without getting a little bit of sleep. That's all I'm saying. So that's it for me tonight. And thanks for watching and thanks for keeping me honest working on this book, because if it weren't for you, I probably wouldn't be doing it. I'm DP Knudten for the Nonfiction Brand Podcast and Bookward Bound my 301 day journey from I should really do this to done, and also the Nonfiction Brand podcast, which comes out every Monday, which means today's Tuesday. A new episode came out yesterday. Check that out wherever you get your fine podcasts for free. That's it for me tonight. I'm going to say goodnight. And to help me say it is our theme music to take us on out. I'll see you next time.